guys, how are you this week? So today I'm just going to talk about packaging and what sort of packaging you really should be putting your products in. I mean, we've got one end of the scale where you've got like a fancy new iPhone and a smartphone. You kind of expect it to be in a premium box. But if you're getting a truckload of 60mm PVC pipe delivered to your house, you don't want it in packaging. You want a rough crate around it so it doesn't fall apart and you can get it there cheaply as possible. You know, packaging in that case would only increase the cost and it wouldn't increase the buying experience at all. So most products are going to sit somewhere in between where we're going to have, you know, we're probably going to want reasonable packaging, but we may or may not want really high quality packaging. So before I go too far into this, I'll just, we might just run through the different options that we had for packaging, or some of the major types anyway. And then later on we'll discuss about, you know, when and where we should use different types. So the first one is the cheapest option. We call it the OPP bag. It's in my blog. Please go and have a look at it. I've got photos and stuff that makes it a little bit more easier to understand. But basically these are just that really thin clear plastic bag. They cost absolutely nothing, especially when you're buying them through your manufacturer who can get them super cheap from someone. And it's surprising, at times they actually don't look that bad on products. I just had a product turn up yesterday, I think it was, of a new product I'm launching on Amazon. And it, you know, it cost absolutely nothing to get these things produced. I got like 1,000 of them for $20 or something like that. The great part about that is the buyer can see the product inside the bag. You may think these look a little bit cheap. At times they do, yes, certainly. But for a lot of products, they're great because not only are they super cheap to buy, but they are super cheap to ship. So yeah, that's another benefit to think of. So the next type of packaging that I'll touch on is the color printed box, cardboard box. Realistically, there's too many types to go into, you know, too many sub niches of cardboard boxes. There's heaps and heaps out there. These are great. These can give your product a really high finish if done correctly. And I mean, they cost a lot more than say OPP bags, but you know, for higher end tickets, it's worth it. And it's really not that expensive. Sometimes manufacturers will have minimum order quantity, not only for the production, but also a minimum order quantity for an OEM packaging, so original equipment manufacturing box. So that just means that they will have, you know, the minimum order quantity to change the color of the box might be 500 units, for example. I found a workaround on this a while ago, last year it was. I had higher end electronic product that I wanted to launch, but to you know, bring down my potential risk on this venture, I didn't want to order that many initially in case they didn't sell, so I only ordered 250 units. But the MOQ for the to change the box was 500 units, and I thought, how can I get around this? I can't launch this with a box that has the wrong product on it. That's ridiculous. And I had to think about it, and I came up with just getting stickers printed. Getting stickers printed in China is super cheap, and the labor price there is also really cheap. So if you liaise with the factory, quite often they're happy to, you know, just do this as part of the deal. They might charge you an extra 50 or 100 bucks to go and get the stickers printed and applied to the boxes. So I just got my graphic designer to knock up you know, a nice sticker for the front and the back of the box with the product on it, all the specs. And when it was done, you couldn't tell that it wasn't meant to be like that. It almost looked like it had been printed on there. So that's a good workaround. If you can't make the MOQ for the OEM box, go and just get some stick. Just ask the supplier to go and get some stickers printed. Give them the graphic design, and bang, like 50 bucks. That's a really good workaround to get a nice looking box. And that will sit, like for $50, that will significantly increase the customer's buying experience. So the last type of packaging I want to touch on is the corrugated cardboard box. Or, you know, this is basically a shipping carton. This is the kind of thing that, you know, plastic cups might come in, just a brown cardboard box. Nothing fancy. This is the kind of thing that, you know, when you have office or, you know, other supplies come in bulk, but you don't want the customer, the customer's not going to see it. So say you run a coffee shop, you're getting coffee cups in. This is great. It protects the coffee cups from getting buckled in the freight process. But the end user isn't ever going to see this box, so it doesn't need to be pretty. Whatever's inside the box can be nice and pretty, but as soon as we pull it out, it doesn't matter. The customer's never going to see this, so it's not going to negatively impact their buying experience. The only difference is maybe if we're drop shipping on Amazon or whatever, you can make this box look a little bit nicer if you get your logo or whatever printed on it. But at the end of the day, if someone's buying bulk of whatever, they're putting it out the back and then bringing it out to their customer or using it at for some other purpose. Maybe in the office or something, they've got bulk coffee cups where the color of the box just really isn't that important to them. But again, this is a bit case by case. You can also get your logo and stuff printed on these to make it a little bit nicer. So now we've looked at some of the major different types of packaging. We want to determine what's going to be best for our use. So this is going to vary a little bit by product to product, but basically we want the most economical packaging that's still going to create a nice customer experience for the end user. This may just be a really simple OPP bag. The customer may not care. But by the same token, as I mentioned at the start of the video, you may, if you're selling an iPhone or something like that, they're going to expect it in a nice box. The only other thing to add is if it's fragile, you really want good packaging, because if you're getting broken stock, not only is that going to be a hassle with your cash flow while you get it sorted with insurance, but also it's going to be an inventory planning nightmare. If you've got not enough stock and then half your stock breaks that's coming in, that's just going to be an absolute nightmare. So when we're trying to determine which one's exactly right for us, we can look at our competitors, but take this with a grain of salt. Like, your competitors may have it, perfectly. They might have exactly what the customer needs. But by the same token, if this is a really personal product, especially, in brick and mortar where someone actually loves the products that they're keeping in stock, they may be paying too much for the product, for the packaging, because they may really love it and want it to be very pretty and in a nice box and nicely presented. But this may not be what the customer requires. They might require they may be happier with something a lot cheaper. So if you're really not sure and you've got an existing product and you don't know which option to go with, you can split test it. So for 1 week, you might have packaging A, and then the second week or the second month have packaging B, and only show photos of each one in each time period. And then look at your sales volume and determine which one is more economical, which one you're making more sales out of. One you might be making slightly less sales out of, but it's costing you a heap less in packaging. So that might be the right course of action. But again, you'll have to look at your results and see what's more viable for your situation. So in summary, we really just need to make sure we've got the right packaging for the job. Obviously, the heavier and more pretty the packaging, the more it's going to cost us on manufacturing and shipping. So we really just need to do our research and make sure we've got the most economically viable packaging solution available. But thanks for your time, guys. I've really enjoyed making this one. I look forward to seeing you soon. Bye, guys.